quest to get their hands on this trophy is underway. The World Cup 2022 got underway earlier today in Qatar, and this is the Islandstats World Cup show, day one. I'm your host, Earl Baston, and my co-host, Fully. The pre-game show was a sight to see. The folks in Qatar put on a show to decorate not just the countries that are playing in the World Cup, but their country. It was all for show today. Your thoughts on that, on just some of the opening ceremony?
But to be fair, I've only seen highlights.
Right.
I was busy coaching, as you saw this morning.
Yes.
I've only seen highlights, but I'm not surprised. I mean, over on that side of the world, for those that have been, they spare no expense.
Yes.
So they've kicked off the tournament exactly how I thought they would. They've put on a show, and then it was time to get on the field. And I'm not quite sure it went the way that they hoped, but we're off and running.
I'm 100% sure it didn't go the way they wanted it to go.
Yeah.
But if you look at it, I mean, okay, they took on Ecuador. We talked about those rankings yesterday, 44 going against 50th. And we know rankings get thrown out the door when it comes to, putting the ball down on the halfway line and the referee saying, let's get this underway. I mean, Ecuador were able to score 2 goals and come away with a victory. But just the way I've watched the highlights, and the Qatar created a few chances of their own. Unfortunately, they didn't go in. But for Ecuador, it's probably the best start they ever wanted. Playing all alone. Now you're top of the table. On to the other 2 teams that have to play. But when you start looking at, we're right now top of the table. We're actually leading the World Cup because we were the only ones to play. That confidence is going way through the roof.
I think it should. With any sport in any tournament, especially the World Cup, getting those first 3 points in the bag is massive for confidence. As you said, a 2-0 Ecuador and a Valencia with a brace. That puts him amongst some rather lofty names in the FIFA World Cup all-time scorers rankings. Names such as Romario and Lionel Messi. So, credit to him. I think Ecuador will think of this as job done. They won't get too ahead of themselves. I do think in that group, Qatar is, I don't want to say the beating stick or the whooping boys, but they are definitely the lesser team, if we may. Not to say they can't cause a shock, but tomorrow you get the 2 big boys.
Yes.
In the Netherlands, I feel that they would consider themselves favorites to advance. However, Ecuador has thrown their name between them now.
Yeah. Now, we know whenever you're the standalone game, you want to get the business done because everybody's watching.
Yes,
and for Ecuador, it was vital that they did get across the line because what you didn't want, as we talked about last night, you didn't want to end up with a draw. And now you're chasing somebody. Now everybody's chasing you. So they'll feel 100% good about themselves. Now, Qatar, not many people gave them an opportunity to win the World Cup, let alone win a game in their group because of this strong group they're in. But because they were able to host it, they feel like they've won it already.
Maybe they're just happy to be at the party. I mean, with all the other stuff that's going on around it, you really just wanted to get down to the football. From the highlights I've seen, they looked a little nervous at first. Almost like the moment was too big for them because, as you said, they're not necessarily a world powerhouse name. I mean, Qatar football, since they've got the World Cup, have spent the last couple of years trying to build a team that doesn't get blown away.
Right.
I think they've succeeded in that aspect of it. But, yeah, I mean, they're probably happy with what they did. Didn't get rolled over by any means.
Right. And they would really feel good about themselves, knowing that they did, like you said, they didn't get rolled over. And again in the game created a few chances. Unfortunately, it didn't go their way. But hey, on to the next. So fully, I saw you point behind you, but that's not the first match tomorrow, is it?
No, sir. No, sir. I think the Docksiders will be the place to be at 9 o'clock in the morning on Front Street there, as the mighty England face off against Iran at 9 o'clock Bermuda time, I believe it is.
Yes, it
9.
is.
I feel like England should be very confident going into this. They haven't had the best results of late, but I feel like the confidence should be there. Iran probably hoping to show up, maybe steal a point.
Yeah, I think they'll play a lot more technical than ever before. Like you said, trying to manage a point out of this, because they would know that England will be heavily favored going into this match.
Oh, most definitely. And I think from a fan's point of view, talking to some England fans, and also as a fan of the Premier League, you're very familiar with your team. Interested to see how Southgate sets up England. Is he going to go pragmatic and boring, as we talked about last night? Or is he going to go, attack? Is he going to go put on a show and bang in some goals and then maybe sit back and ease off the gas? So I think we're all looking forward to that.
I'm pretty sure the advice that is, go get it, put it away, then sit back. But make sure it's put away first. And if you look at it, England's ranked 5th coming into this World Cup, and Iran's ranked 20th. So it may not just be a quote unquote pushover, but with England's quality of players and where they play and how well they play, if they could put together a good team performance, I think they will end this contest somewhere around just in the second half. But if they underestimate Iran, who knows? It could be a total disaster. And you know how the English fans behave when things don't go their way.
Yep. So let's hope none of that happens, regardless of. But yeah, I mean, again, I think England would be confident in this. Now, overconfident, as you say, it could be a problem. Don't look past.
Yeah. And then the date you have, the 12:30 date, is it 12? No, 12 o'clock.
12 o'clock. 12 o'clock.
12 o'clock.
I think that's the game of the day.
Yes.
Unfortunately, as you see on the screen here, in your artwork, Mane is not playing. But these are the African Cup of Nation champions. They do have a side that has now tasted success. They've won a trophy as a nation. And Holland, as you know, and as I know very well, they do have the tendency to slip up. I mean, they haven't even been at World Cups in the last few years, especially the last one. But they also have the quality to make a final, like they did 2 World Cups ago. So, or 3. I think it was 3. But yeah, anything could happen.
Yeah,
I'm confident.
Right. So for the Netherlands, who really has to stand out for this team to be successful just tomorrow? Who really has to stamp their claim on the game?
Well, I think for the tournament, it's not even tomorrow, because obviously tomorrow is you set the tone. You first setting the tone. I think the center back pairing have to be good the whole time. I assume he's going to go to Litton Van Dijk. We'll wait and see. Van Dijk, very shaky for Liverpool. Even Liverpool fans will say that. He needs to be good for Holland. There are a lot of people saying that he was easing off for Liverpool so as he didn't get hurt. Hopefully that was the case. In the midfield, for those people that know me, know I'm a Frankie de Jong fan. Been a Frankie de Jong fan. Frankie de Jong is one of the best technically gifted footballers. If you watch Barcelona, if you watch him at Ajax, he is a total football player. He is Dutch.
Right.
He needs to be great. He needs to control the games. And up front, Cody Gakpo from PSV. he operates sort of as Holland's goal scorer with Depay wide, and I think those two need to find the back of the net consistently between them to push Holland on.
Sure, sure. I mean, if you look at the whole setup, as you've already indicated, that Senegal already know how to win as a team. They've won that African Nations Cup. Yeah, they might be a little down a bit because no money, but hey, it's time for someone else to step up. And being on the Asian continent, I think they would want to show they belong. 8 versus 18. Netherlands is ranked 8, Senegal's ranked 18, but they're gonna want to close that gap. When was the last time? Can you recall the last time these two teams met?
I don't, honestly. I was actually talking to somebody about that at golf today, and I can't remember if they have. I don't remember it.
Yeah, I was trying to find it myself, and I just ran out of time. But yeah, if you look at the last few games, so the Netherlands come in on 5 wins and a draw, and Senegal come in with 4 wins, a draw, and a loss in the two teams' last 6 games. So it should be very, very interesting as we head into that all-important, as you said, 12 o'clock game tomorrow. And I'm pretty sure if Docksiders was full at 9, it'd still be full at 12.
Could be a sea of orange. And Senegal, people might not know, very good defensively. They do have some play at the top level. Chelsea's goalkeeper Mendy, who has shown recently that he's finding some form after a rough start to the season. Koulibaly, that plays for Chelsea. He's from Senegal. They have Depay Gueye, Idrissa Gueye is I don't know if I spell his name, from Everton.
Right.
He's in there. They've got Depay Sarr that plays for Watford. Very exciting going forward.
Young talent. Yeah.
They could. I mean, they have the players, and as we said, they've won something, and that can be very, very good for a shot of confidence.
Definitely. And then, of course, that final match tomorrow, we'll see United States of America. And
that was today's match there.
I'm sorry, that was today's match. So United States will take on
Gareth, mighty Welsh.
Yes, Wales. Yes, that's the one I was looking for. Now, as we know, Wales really have a lot to prove to themselves in this World Cup, and United States are going to want to make sure that they represent the CONCACAF region to the best of their ability. They just wouldn't want Mexico to be the standouts, one of the standouts in the World Cup. So looking at this particular matchup, what do you think Wales need to do to ensure they hold down the United States and keep them down?
I think for Wales, the key is obviously they need to score goals. Right. They have a very solid team, obviously led by the big name, which is Gareth Bale. But they need to be. I don't think they'll be too concerned defensively against the United States.
Right.
Obviously, they'll need to play well, but for them, I think scoring the goals, because the USA are a very difficult team to play against. When you get, if you take them early, I've noticed the USA has a habit of dropping, sort of dropping their heads. So yeah, I think if Wales can get on it early, because they, again, not huge names, but the Welsh have some great talent. Gareth Bale, Aaron Ramsey. Hopefully he can stay fit. Daniel James, who's at Leeds now.
Right.
I forget which James. I saw him play the other day, but he's in the Premier League. Obviously, he had the big move to United. A player for them that I'm looking forward to see, and I know Frankie Brewster will be happy to mention this. Nottingham Forest Brennan Johnson, and Joe Williams, who previously played for Liverpool, defender. Pretty good goalkeeper. I assume Hennessy will start for them. So
right.
yeah, they got the names. Got to perform though.
And well, the other thing, if you look at it, for the United States, we would know some of their players because from the Nations Cup and so forth. But one of the players that stand out for them is that plays for Chelsea. He's not a regular starter, but they're going to put a lot of pressure on certain players to come to the party. And they will have a nation behind them. I mean, I've been watching a bit of sports TV for the last few days, and there's a commercial to support the United States in the World Cup, and all they're asking Santa Claus for is for the United States to win the World Cup. Now, I don't know if that's I don't know if he can deliver that, but it's one of those things that ask and you shall receive, but don't hold your breath.
It's funny because after '94, if you remember when the World Cup was there, and the U.S. started pumping money into the youth and the future, I've always said the United States will make a final in my life. Just I hope they lose it because I'm not a huge. The last thing we need is now we got to call it soccer because we're the soccer champions of the world.
Yes, yes.
But again, as I've said, the names are there. You mentioned from Chelsea, but also there's Giovanni Reina, plays for Dortmund. That he is quality. He is quality. Going back to the Premier League, which is obviously the one everybody watches, Leeds, Brandon Arneson. That kid, he has shown that he can play. He can play some.
But you notice the one thing about America, right? They always have these young talent. And then when they get to like 21, 22, 23, all of a sudden they're dipping off. You know how you notice?
Well, now they have these guys playing at top clubs. So hopefully there. I mean, one name I didn't mention was Weston McKennie. He plays for Juventus, and he does for Juventus. He's not a bit part player. And all these guys I've named, they're not, like you said, Pulisic doesn't start, but he's there every game. Honestly, Giovanni Reina, when fit, unfortunately, he's one of those that has the injury bug, but when fit, quality player for Dortmund. So, the names are there. See how they play as a team.
Well, fully. It's all on tomorrow. We've had that first game already.
And personally, I think the first game is probably the least attractive out of them all besides England. I mean, the second game and the third game, very important games between teams that would hope to advance. Yeah, very much so. It's important. Well, and to that fact, keep an eye on that England-Iran, because my thing is, if Iran score first, does England panic? It would, for the neutral, it would probably make it more entertaining.
Yes.
I personally don't see it, but Harry Maguire is probably playing, so anything's possible. Right? Gotta not be United fans.
So there'll be three teams on the field: England, Iran, and Maguire.
Yeah, but
you just don't know which end is going to score at.
It's funny to crack jokes, but credit to him for England. He's actually been pretty solid.
Yeah. And the fact that he's able to take on, the challenge of knowing you're not playing well, and you're knowing that the fans are on you, but you're still willing to put your hand up and say, you know what? I'm still going to go out here and represent you at club and country level. So credit to him.
Well, in all fairness to him, he should be fresh. That's one thing got going for him.
But he might not have the legs. You gotta play. You gotta play.
I think what makes Harry Maguire effective for England is if Kyle Walker's fit, because Kyle Walker's pace allows Harry Maguire to be more aggressive without the fear of getting caught out behind him. Because Kyle Walker has Olympic speed. It's just a just a question of whether Kyle Walker is fit. I think that's a big one for England.
Sure. Well, good luck to all 6 teams tomorrow. I want to wish you all the best at that 12 o'clock one. I'll text you to see how that's going on, and if you're need to buy a new TV or.
I'd probably go out to watch it so I don't break my own if things go south.
All right, so we'll be back tomorrow night, 8 o'clock.
Yes, sir.
With these 3 results and a preview of the next day's matches. So, Fully, thanks a lot. The World Cup is underway. Folks,
Yes, sir.
Enjoy your night.